people there are excited and passionate about what they're doing, and they want to put forward things that they're proud of. And so I just like being a part of that energy and, sharing experiences and you find with people. Like food is such a sentimental like experience to be shared with others. And it's just nice, that it brings people together.
Welcome to episode 10 of the Food Grads Podcast, the podcast where we take a look at the fascinating career journeys of professionals in the food, beverage, and hospitality industries. I'm your host, Veronica Hislop, a molecular science graduate student and career partner with Food Grads. On this week's episode, I interview Amelia Laplante, a research and development scientist at Yoso, a family-run business creating dairy-free, gluten-free, vegan yogurts and spreads in Cambridge, Ontario. They also are the creators of Canada's first oat yogurt, which is pretty exciting for the plant-based sector, so I'll be checking that out. On this episode, Amelia tells me about how fun her role is as an R&D scientist at a plant-based company and the sustainability benefits which come from consuming these products. A lot of this episode is focused on talking about Amelia's strategic career pivots and how throughout her career she's kept a positive attitude towards networking, both in school and even with her co-workers. She found that by talking with others within your departments, you can create a lot of new opportunities just by understanding what they do. Not only does it help you build connections, but in the food industry, it can give you a better picture of the whole food supply chain. Amelia is a remarkable person who believes it is important to have goals, but to stay flexible with them because you never know what's waiting around the corner. Don't be afraid to shoot someone a message. You never know where it'll take you. Now, on to the show. So, thank you, Amelia, for coming on the show. I'm excited to talk to you. I think that the product that you're working on, or the company that you work at, is pretty cool, actually. I think that it's definitely a space that's growing, and to be kind of like the forerunners in that, I think that's pretty cool. Enough about me going on. Why don't you tell me about yourself? Can you tell me about where you work and what you do?
Sure. So I work for Yoso. They're a plant-based yogurt and spread company here in Cambridge, Ontario. And I am their research and development food scientist. So my job involves developing the new products. I make new formulations. I get to work on the existing formulas, make them better. We always have like a continuous improvement philosophy. Another thing I do is I make videos in our test kitchen to share our products with our customers on social media and through our website or YouTube. And yeah, it's a fun time.
It sounds like it. I've seen a lot of your, I've been doing some research, so I saw some of the videos and there's some fun ideas. I saw the one with, I think you made like a shortcake version, but before I get into that, I think that for our audience, we probably should get a little bit more know about Yoso. So what is Yoso exactly?
It's a family-run business. Yoso's been around since 2002. It's two brothers that came from Hong Kong, actually, and they have a family history of working with plant-based products. They started doing soy products, and now we have soy, almond, cashew, coconut, and recently we just launched oat products. So we make yogurts and spreads that's available all throughout Canada.
I did not know, especially the oats. That's really popular. That's gaining a lot of popularity, I know, right now. So.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We just launched, it's called Oats. It's Canada's first oat-based yogurt. No preservatives, GMO-free, really clean ingredient deck. It's a great product. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, I guess I'm just confusing it for the States, that I'm not realizing that your company's the one who's the first in Canada. That's a pretty big thing, because I know it's going to be, I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty big thing, because I know the yogurt market's pretty large, but it's not really, the dairy alternatives just aren't really predominant just yet, at least from my observance, so.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge growing sector.
But I gotta try the, you had coconut-based yogurt, or... Coconut flavored yogurt is my favorite, but to have like a full yogurt coconut experience, it sounds like really good.
Yeah, it's good. My favorite is we have a lemon flavored coconut yogurt. We also have a chocolate one that's amazing.
So as a product developer working there, I guess that you have a lot of experience working directly on these products. So how has that been for you? Is it a fun role?
Yeah, it's a really fun role. It's different every day, always something new, and it's a really fun creative environment that we have at work. So it's been a great space so far.
I've noticed in your past experience that you've worked at other more formal, like larger corporations. How has it been working at like a family-based business?
It's been really nice, actually. So we don't have that many employees, under 50 employees, so everyone's really close. Just to see, how passionate the owners are is really inspiring for everyone. This is like their whole lives. They live and breathe our plant-based yogurt, so it's a good time.
Yeah, I was looking at the videos and you could just see how excited the owners were when they were like sharing like, I know there were promotional videos, but like you could just tell that they were really excited to share this with others. So, and the story behind it is really cool with how it was a family business and like how they've grown it to be like a product with many product extension lines. Cause I think that would be a hard thing to do as well, to move so fast into the market and do these alternatives and do them well, more importantly. So that's pretty cool.
For sure.
I'm not a big yogurt fan, to be honest with you. Like I can handle yogurt, but
that's okay.
This alternative, like having a dairy-free alternative, sounds like really keen, like something I'd want to try. What are some of the benefits of having a dairy-free yogurt over like a conventional one?
So personally, I like dairy-free products because they usually have a lower sugar content and just a cleaner ingredient deck. But also they're a lot more sustainable than if you were to have a dairy yogurt. I read that making oat products uses 40% less greenhouse gases than you would if you were producing milk from cows for yogurt, which is great. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of ethical advantages as well.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, in Ontario especially, like dairy is like really forefront. Like it's a really strong brand here in Ontario. So to hear some of the sustainability, because we talk about meat, like eating less meat is more sustainable, which I get, but you don't really hear about the counterparts. Like you don't think about the dairy derivatives and how those have an effect on the greenhouse gases. You just think about meat, not just those alternatives. So that's really interesting. That's that would definitely be something that piques my interest to consider switching over. So I know that you're at one of my local grocery stores, so I'm probably going to be buying that this week. Yeah, but let's go back to you a little bit more, and I want to just talk about, we touched upon what you do, but I wanted to know about what is actually exciting you about your job right now. What do you love about it?
So I think what excites me a lot right now is researching new food trends that are coming through the market. It's been so interesting to watch what's up and coming in the grocery sector through COVID. You'll see more and more that the health aisle and the grocery aisle are merging, as all these products need to also have functional benefits to boost your immunity or give you probiotics or extra vitamins or whatever. So it's really interesting to me. I've always been a foodie. I love seeing what's coming down the line. Also, I really like seeing what are in different cultures in food and different health movements. So that's an exciting part of my job.
Oh, that's so cool. You get to like research all the time. It sounds something like a dream of mine. So how has it been though I know with the food industry, a lot of it is like being in person, kind of like going to these trade shows, how has COVID affected it? How are you doing your research right now? Like, where are you finding your information?
So a lot of the trade shows have gone online, so they'll have like virtual drop-ins. But I would like to sign up for newsletters and just through emails and different websites. Lots of platforms. People are always talking about food. I like food business news. I'm a big fan of plant-based news or the Food in Canada magazine. There's lots of resources. Even I find I like to even just go on Instagram and just look at the different hashtags and see what's big, because, a whole part of up-and-coming food trends is the Instagrammability of food. So you'll see more and more like vibrant colors. Like I was reading the other day, like blues are becoming bigger and bigger because you don't see that naturally in a lot of food. So all these chefs and restaurants are trying to just mix with different flavors, ingredients. There's that butterfly pea protein, which is huge now. It makes this really beautiful indigo color. Mm-hmm. So I like seeing that in different things.
There's not like there's many, blueberries are blue, but they're not really blue. They're like purple. So like having that like defined blue color, It's so amazing how Instagram has changed the scope of like what we look for in food. Like I know with the rainbow trends, fortunately it wasn't very long, but like when the foods were like really black, like that dark color, because you don't get flavor from that color tone. So like that was interesting to me. But yeah, it's just amazing how it's changed the scope of like some people just create foods just for the sake of taking a picture of it, which is very odd to me. But it's cool that with your products that you work with, like they're functional, like they're not just limited by one look and then move on. Like there's so much you can do with it. So that's really cool. I've seen that you've done a lot. Your LinkedIn is pretty hefty, I will say. I'm pretty impressed with it. I was doing some research for the episode, and it seems like you've looked at a lot of different things that you could do, and I noticed that you actually went to George Brown College for supply chain management. I was curious about how that came to be and how has it helped you with your career?
Sure. So I think it's more important these days to set yourself apart and kind of stand out from the field you're trying to go into. So I took this program to diversify my skill set, because it was something something totally different than I've studied before. Like my background was in food science, so supply chain management. I thought, okay, let's give this a try. I had some experience a little bit when I worked at a previous job. So I was learning that like supply chain management is really the heartbeat of the whole plant operation. I mean, they control what can be made and when, and just learning about this really helped me understand like more levels of food manufacturing, which, in turn helps me in my current role today.
What are some of like the courses you would be learning about, or like what's the degree all about?
Sure. So I did supply chain strategy, there's globalization, there's lean logistics and lean manufacturing, which I found really interesting because I actually had a course when I was studying food science about like process engineering. So that and lean logistics goes hand in hand.
No, that's cool. I mean, that's definitely a way to set yourself apart. And I know, I don't think a lot of students think about doing something diversifying like that. I think that, especially to complement your food science degree, that's a really smart move, because that can allow you to not only like understand like the manufacturing side, but then it can also probably give you some more insights that can help you for your research and development, like when you're actually planning these products, because you have that perspective of you already know what the plant's going to be looking for when you present your idea, without having, and that was a really good idea as well, like with not having, although I know that you did this degree from what I see after you worked at your previous position, it's still a good way to differentiate yourself without that experience just yet, so you could kind of blend them and already have something to make up for the lack of experience. That's something I want to like bring up to more for students who are considering careers in the food and industry, that maybe they should look into supply chain management, because I don't think that's something like people think out of high school either.
You don't really learn about it at all in high school. Like I honestly, until I was in actual plants and manufacturing environments, like you don't realize, oh, these things don't just show up here. It's actually someone's whole job is to arrange and coordinate these materials.
Yeah, and I think that it's amazing how many careers are just out there and degrees that you would never even consider just going into. Like, I went into chemistry. I mean, that's a pretty generalized type thing, and supply chain management is so applicable to the real world. So I know that you first actually did a degree in, you went to Niagara College first, if I'm not mistaken, for culinary management. So how did that come to be? How did you decide that that was the thing that you wanted to jump into?
So I went into culinary management thinking I was going to open my own bakery. So that was I was advised that when I had this dream, it was going to be a cupcake store. I had it all planned out. So I was advised to go into culinary management because you'll learn more than just baking, but also you'll understand what's required to open a food business or restaurant. So I did that. And while I was in culinary management, I really found myself liking the business side more, cost control, things like that. And I started talking with some students that were in the food science program. And I heard more and more about this, industry. And right away I became fascinated with food science. So I kind of pivoted my goals and I made a new goal that I wanted to invent a product and I want to see it on a grocery store shelf somewhere. And so then I got into food science. Yeah, that's that.
That's cool. It already seems like you're living the dream now.
We're getting there. I'm working on it, right?
Okay.
Steps.
So you're going to have to keep us all in the loop for when it happens, and then I'm going to have to go to the store and I'm going to have to buy some and take a picture. That sounds good. I think that it just goes to show that as you're going to school, your dreams can pivot, and that's okay as long as you're open-minded, right? So it sounds like you've been very open-minded, and seems like you're really one to look for opportunities. I think that you've done so much. Again, looking at your LinkedIn, it's just like, holy. So I guess I also want to go back and touch upon your other industry experience when you were working at Dare Foods, and you were working as service and support. And it sounds like you did a lot of different things there. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about that role from you. And can you tell me what it was like?
Sure. So I did service and support at Dare. I was a part of the original 10 people, this team, to start up a new cookie plant.
Oh my gosh.
It was such a great, very educational, amazing, and challenging experience. I learned a lot there, so I'm very grateful for that. But as part of this team, to start the plant, I got to help kind of set up the receiving procedures and inventory and the material handling protocols for the plant. So I was involved in everything kind of around the direct operations of making these cookies. So that was a very cool time.
Wow, that Dare is like the cookie place. At least when I go to, when I think of Dare, that's I know they do other products, but like that's the product that I think about, and I probably eat their cookies way too often. But alas, they're good.
They're great. I love them.
I know, especially this is the thing with doing a food podcast. When you talk about people who do food for a living, if you haven't eaten supper yet, you get much more hungry.
Oh, for sure.
It seems like you also you were working at the receiving at the warehouse. Is that so? When you're there, so can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I know that working at manufacturing, receiving is such a big role, and even just the receiving department's its own department in itself. There's a lot that goes on there. So could you tell me a little bit more about what you did, and could you just give someone who might not know what happens, the process of when an item gets received at a plant?
Sure. So receiving in a plant is so important. It's actually the first line of food defense. So it's critical to the whole operation. So part of what I did is I would email the different suppliers early in the week and set up delivery times. So you need to make sure that the company has a delivery time, so that way you prevent anyone coming to your facility that wouldn't otherwise be welcome. Then once the delivery gets here, I would check the ID and make sure it was the correct shipment. You read the bill of ladings, the different paperwork that comes with it, certificate of analysis, you check the seals, and if everything checks out, then you go ahead and write out your paperwork describing where the delivery came from, the lot codes you have, etc. Then you would inspect the truck to make sure that there's no sign of pest activity or tampering, and then you take your shipment off the truck. So that's the first part. After that, you need to label what you got and store it in the designated area, which is key to maintaining, an organized plant. Everything has its specific place, otherwise it can get very messy.
Right.
Yeah, so then you would type up your delivery into the spreadsheet and into an ERP system. We use SAP, but if you don't know what an ERP system is, it's just a kind of enterprise resource planning that helps the company know what to order and when, and keep up with your inventory levels.
So, geez, like you can tell that, especially for a company that maybe not so much a smaller company, but one that's larger, with the number of shipments that come in, that's a job in itself. Like just quality. I guess it'd be quality control, receiving. Like that's just a role in itself. So, yeah, I know. Especially with if you go into like food safety guides, I know that like receiving is just its own portion, and like you have to be following these protocols because, like you said, it's the first line of defense before any kind of food safety. So So that's cool. I think I can see now why that little transition, how you were saying about the supply chain management, how that kind of was the thing that sparked that kind of thought process. So, and I guess it was also a good role as well because it got to help you work with the warehouse staff and kind of become acquainted with them, or
Yeah, sort of. It was more like the warehouse. So the warehouse handles the finished products, but I was more handling the raw materials or packaging, like the packaging for the making the cookies.
okay, so I got that. So I guess I also want to transition because this was also speaking from which it seemed that this was your first full-time position outside of in the food industry, if I'm not mistaken. So how was that transition between your college and your full-time career? Did you have any difficulties finding your first job? And the fact that you got a job means that you were successful. So what do you think helped contributed to that success in getting the position?
When I wanted to start a career, I really hit the ground running and just hit up all the connections that I made in school. I made sure to keep in touch, like with my professors, my classmates, former coworkers. Networking is huge, especially the food industry is so small. So I tried to like volunteer and make connections every opportunity I had. I like to make a point to talk to people and have like different departments, all sorts, and talk to them about their jobs. And these conversations helped me learn a lot about these people's jobs, but also when you talk to people, it helps me self-reflect and see like, oh, maybe this is what I'd like to do. Maybe I can see myself doing this in the future. But as far as applying, I mean, I must have applied for, it seems like countless jobs, and it can be very tiring. And sometimes you just feel like, oh, I feel so burnt out, like nothing's going to happen. But it's so important that, just to keep going and, stay positive and, something will come about.
Yeah, I think that I want to bring that out because I know that a lot of students struggle when they get out of school and finding a career. I feel like there's kind of two people that I've been come across with this interview, and you either got the people who got their job before they even graduated, or you had the people who just kept grinding. Like it is not even, I think, even if you have a strong network, sometimes it's just timing. It just happened to be that exact time. Your dream job might just be a month away, but like they haven't opened the position for your job yet.
Oh, you're right. You're so right. And that's what contributed to right after I graduated, I went and I did an internship in Disney World for a year, and I was so happy to be chosen for that. But also, if I would have had a job right out of school, I probably wouldn't have gone, right? So sometimes you have to just trust in the timing of it, and like you said, like these people that you see, like, I mean, that's amazing for them that they can have a job before they're done school, but I would say that definitely is a rarity.
Yeah. And I think though it shows as well that I like that you said self-reflection. I think that's really cool because from your career journey, it already looks like you've put a lot of thought into the next steps, but you've also given yourself the opportunity that you have more options to kind of go into should you maybe self-reflect and you don't like what you do. So I think that's smart how you've been going about things. Because I'm very much about like the self-reflection. Like I keep a journal and I read it back just to make sure that you get so caught up in your days. If you write like a few notes here, you start to notice the trends over time. So
yes, that's great. I'm a big fan of a journal. I'm all about saying your goals, sharing it with people you love, like building your network. And it's kind of like once you say something out loud, it helps you like keep accountability, but also, it's always good to like put things out in the universe and get some feedback from people around you.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome about the journaling.
Thanks. And obviously you see it. I'm like one of those people, like everyone journal. Just like it's so like I have everything in my journal, just like everything from even when I'm doing my research at school. Like, I mean, everything gets jumbled, but I find like it helps you form your thoughts later on. And especially when you're creating something new. I'm assuming you have your own notebook when you're working and you go through it. So.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, you have to write everything down because this amazing great idea you have could be gone in 2 minutes. So you got to write it down. The flavor concept you come up with at like 3 a.m., got to write it down. It's not coming back to you in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, in the age of technology, you can't be in a notebook sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I'm happy to hear another journaler. I'm like into that whole productivity stuff, but like at the end of the day, I just like to have stickers in my journal. Oh gosh, I'm sharing that out loud, but it makes my day a lot happier just by looking. If you have a bad day and you stick a sticker on it, it
Hmm.
makes it a little bit better.
That's all that matters. Makes you happy, right? That's good.
Exactly. So I guess that could actually be a good segue to, oh, maybe not, but anyways, I wanted to ask you, do you have any food industry related books, podcasts, or people that you think students should check out?
Yeah, so for me, the food science Bible is it's called On Food and Cooking. Harold McGee is the author. When I
Um,
started culinary school, all the chefs were like, "This is the book. You need this book." And I was like, "Oh, looks so well." I don't know if I should say this, but I was like, "Oh, it looks so boring. Looks so dull." But everything you need to know is in there. That's the one you need. If you're gonna buy a book, that's the one you need.
I have to like agree with you on that one. I got it from my local library. Surprisingly, they had it, and I was like, "Whoa, this book is," and it's such a good the way he talks, a good range of if you're not into science but you're into science.
Absolutely. And it seemed so intimidating before. Like I was so intimidated, but I was like, you know what? There's a reason they're all saying this, right? And now me, look at this full circle moment. But besides that, I'm a big fan of the courses on LinkedIn. I just discovered through my local library, they have websites you can sign up for that let you have the LinkedIn courses for free, which is amazing because then you have to pay for a premium unless you want to.
Yeah.
So I just did Jeff Dyer's course on innovation. That one was really cool. But I think for other resources, I mean, LinkedIn is so important. Like, make sure you work on your profile, join groups, follow all these companies that you want to work for one day, or get more info about, or you're just a fan of. Don't be scared to connect with people.
Yeah, LinkedIn is definitely growing to be more than just like a social. I mean at its core it is a social network, but there's so many people that can just even sharing posts, people can become like so successful within their network just by showing information, and LinkedIn is like no other type of social media. Like you're encouraged to share like sciencey things. It's not like Facebook or Instagram, and like it actually encourages writing, I find, which is interesting about LinkedIn. Can you tell me a little more about the course? Because you were saying that it sounded, it was on innovation. How was that for you?
Yeah, so that was really cool. So it wasn't a huge thing. I think it was like, oh gosh, I did it like in an afternoon. It wasn't a huge thing. But just hearing someone else talk about innovation and just the different facets of it and ways you can approach it, I think that's really cool. I always like hearing, different people's perspectives on things like that. But I definitely recommend that course.
Yeah. I have to look more. I've been pushing off LinkedIn. I know my school personally has like free membership, but I know that I wouldn't be surprised if my local library also had access to it, but I bet a lot of colleges and universities might as well. So I think that if anyone's listening, they should probably check into it because they have such like a broad range of topics from like everything from productivity to like how to film something to like personal branding, and especially they have really good ones on like how to make your LinkedIn profile like really good.
Yeah. Yeah, they have good ones. I just saw it recently even. I didn't take the course, but it was promoting it, like how to add your pronouns to your name on LinkedIn, or like just
Oh,
etiquette for it and stuff like that. So it's really cool.
oh, that's really cool. I didn't and it doesn't, do you just like add your pronouns into the actual your name, or is it like a separate
It's
section?
just you just add it into your last name. As
Oh,
easy as
cool.
that. I know.
That's, yeah, no, that's especially now I know that Ryerson's like opened my eyes to these types of things, so maybe I could add that too. Thanks for reminding me.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I guess that the other question was, we did the books and we did the podcast. Did you have any people that you follow or you think are pretty cool?
What I would say is I like to connect with other like small business, like people involved in other small businesses. I personally like to check out. I'll like go to the store and be like, oh wow, this product is really cool. Let's look more about it. And I just like to see like their websites page on LinkedIn, and then it will tell you the owners, and you usually like to connect there. And it's interesting to see the paths that people took to get to where they were to founding these businesses. Besides that, like
But
my favorite show is Shark Tank, so love all the sharks. Lori Greiner, I want to be her. She's
nice.
so cool.
It's amazing how the show is just like really, it's played a really big role, I think, as well in the food industry as well. Like, I mean, a lot of people go on that show and that's how they get found, and
Mm-hmm.
like that's how their businesses grow. But I love your idea of going to the supermarket. You could almost make this, okay, maybe it might not be the funnest time right now, but maybe not. Going to the supermarket and making a day out of like looking at all the products and like researching more. And it not only can it give you like if you're an R&D, it'd be perfect for you just to be like, what's the landscape? But as a student, could be scoping some new products that are places you might be able to work.
Yeah, I mean, everyone had to start somewhere, right? Like everyone's taking little steps to get towards what their goals are. And you're right, like anything you can pick it up. And this product was someone's dream one day and they made it happen. So like how did that go?
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's a good way of putting it. With talking about dreams, from what you've experienced in the food industry, why do you think the food industry is a great place to work?
I think the food industry is a really exciting community. It's changing all the time. I found that no matter if it's been like restaurants, bakeries, manufacturing, like small businesses, large businesses, the people there are excited and passionate about what they're doing, and they want to put forward things that they're proud of. And so I just like being a part of that energy and sharing experiences and new finds with people. You know, like food is such a sentimental like experience to be shared with others, and it's just nice, that it brings people together.
It's the people at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like people stay in the food industry because no matter who you are, you have some relationship with food, whether it's good or
Mm-hmm.
bad. I think you're right. Like people are passionate, and if anything, the place that your work shows that, like
Mm-hmm.
the place you're working, like this is a family business, like their life centers around food, and so does yours. So it's good when there's good people to work with.
Absolutely.
And I also wanted to know, what advice would you give someone who wants to pursue a career that's similar to yours?
I would say to volunteer in all sorts of events, go out and meet people. When I was in culinary school in studying food science, I did like a culinary team for banquets and food contests. We got to do also this separate like competition where we had to invent a product with pulses. It was called Mission Impulsible. That was really cool. Another time I volunteered to help elementary students learn how to make nutrition fact tables online. The more you can get out there and do different things that you didn't see yourself doing before, the better. Share your goals. Don't be shy about your goals. If it's important to you, like get it out there. Like people want to help you, so make sure that you feel that you're heard with where you want to be. I would say also continue your professional development, and that looks like a ton of different things. I mean, professional development could be, like a course part-time or even on LinkedIn for an afternoon, or reading a new book or doing a new skill or something totally out of your comfort zone. But lastly, I think if there's a person you're interested in, their career, a path they've taken, or you want to know more about them, don't be scared to connect or send an email to them. Because I personally know I've gotten to where I am because of the support and advice from mentors and role models I have. And when you talk to people, you can ask them about advice they have for you or how they think you can, achieve your goals, and you don't even know who knows who.
That's definitely for sure. I mean, it's amazing how everyone's connected without even knowing. So if a student, because you mentioned about like reaching out on LinkedIn, and for a student who it's kind of scary to do, basically like reach out to someone that you don't know on LinkedIn. What did you do when you were a student? Like what kind of message did you put when you're trying to reach out to someone?
So like what I used to do when I was studying, let's say like I'm in school for food science, I really want to be into research and development. I would find someone I liked or like admire the career, liked something about them, and I would just message them and just be like, "Hi, I'm Amelia. I'm studying food science at Niagara College, and I'm really interested in research and development in your career with this company. Would you have time ever to talk to me about some questions and maybe give me some advice on how you got to where you are?" And if you don't want to talk, you can just, if a phone call seems intimidating for you, you could say like, "Do you mind if I email you a couple questions sometimes? Like, here are the goals I'm trying to achieve, or I'm trying to learn more about this industry or this aspect of the career." But if they're local, which this is something like I did before when I was at DARE, like I would find, or I would, meet people from different departments, and I would just email them and be like, hi, I'm Amelia. Like these are my goals for the future. I'm really interested in your position. Like, can I like bring you a coffee sometime on your break? And like, do you mind talking to me for 20 minutes about like any career advice you'd have? Virtually every time people want to help you and they'll be like, sure, like let's meet at this time, like I like a double, like see you then.
That's so nice. I mean, you were doing it both as a student and as well when you were working in the departments. And I think that's a great idea, especially for when you're working in a department, because, it builds better team connections and it gives you better insight about the industry and or other parts of the place that you're working at. And it also makes a better work environment as well. Like,
For sure.
but going back to the LinkedIn, I like that. Like, it's important that I notice the way you're talking about, there you are sharing about your goals again. So I
Yeah.
like that. I like that, but it just shows that you want to share that with others. But also, it sounds like you're keeping it short, like you're not asking too much of the person. You're trying to keep it as minimal as you can just to kind of get that foot in the door.
Yeah, you're just trying to like slide in there and see what's up.
It's, no, that's good. I think that's great advice, and I think that students should just take the chance, even if you get rejected on the first one, like you said before, like if you get one out of the five people that say yes, then that's one person, and that's all you need sometimes. So
Absolutely.
it sounded like you used your student card to your advantage because I think people are more willing to help if you're a student.
It's so important. I mean, like what I realized is that, you know, so there's more and more programs at all the colleges and universities these days. For example, culinary management. I'm from Sarnia. I could have gone and taken culinary management in Sarnia, but why I chose to go to Niagara College is because I knew Niagara is, one of the food capitals of Canada. I went there and I saw the program, I saw the campuses and the resources they had, but also I saw the chefs, and the chefs are passionate people. And that's so important to surround yourself with people that are passionate and that inspire you. If you see someone and you're like, oh, I want to be like them, like that's who you want to learn from.
Nice. Yeah, go for the passionate people. And
Hmm.
a lot of the people that are passionate about it, if a lot of them just want to share their if they care about the next generation, they want to help others out just by sharing their knowledge. And like even you sitting down and just doing this podcast, like clearly you're showing that you want to share what you know with others. So all it takes, I guess, is like a simple LinkedIn message.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great start. And sometimes you'll get a reply and sometimes you won't. But for let's say you do it 5 times, but you get one reply, that could be the one person that could help you get to your next stepping stone, right?
That's so true. And it just builds confidence.
Oh, for sure.
Well,
I used to be a very, very shy person, but the more that's why you have to like get yourself like out there, and like if you're scared of that situation, like that's the situation you need to do.
mhm.
It just helps.
For sure. And that's also another thing that I do like about LinkedIn is you don't have to look for like it's more of a direct. I mean, mind you, the
Hmm.
person has to actually like keep up to date with their LinkedIn, but for the most part, like you can just message. Even like you don't necessarily have to know them, but you can do like a quick blurb in the request note.
Yeah, and
Just
the connect thing for sure.
yeah. So we are at the end of our podcast episode. So before I bid you adieu, just for anyone who might want to reach out, where can people connect or find you?
Yeah, so my name is just Amelia Laplante on LinkedIn. If you want to check out any test kitchen videos for Yoso, it's on our Instagram at Enjoy Yoso, or on our website, which is yoso.ca. But for me personally, I think LinkedIn would be the easiest. I'm on there all the time.
That's great, and I'll make sure to post in the show notes below the Instagram page so everyone can see how delicious you are making the products look. Like I don't think anyone can watch that and not want to eat some. Thank you so much, Amelia, for being on the show. I really enjoyed talking with you, hearing about how you've done so many different like faucets of the industry and how you believe in like just going for your goals and making sure to let everyone know about them. So thanks.
Thanks, Veronica. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to episode 10 of the Food Grads podcast. Although it's a small milestone, I'm really happy to have been able to share these 10 episodes with you, and don't worry, there's more to come. So I hope you will continue to share this journey with me as we explore more exciting and fascinating careers in the food, beverage, and hospitality industries. If you have any suggestions for guests or careers for the podcast, then shoot me an email at veronica@foodgrads.com. All the notes for this show can be found by clicking on the podcast tab on the Food Grads homepage. There you can find any past or future episodes. If you enjoyed the show, then please consider writing a review on the show wherever you get your podcast. It helps us to share the cool things we're doing with others. Thank you everyone again for coming with me to episode 10 of this podcast. I'm really excited for what's to come. I'll see you next week.